Thanks for listening to Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast, keeping you up to date with the latest in American soccer. And don't forget to subscribe.
Hello everyone, welcome to Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast. My name is Steven Jotter, and joining me as always is Jake Watoba and Armand Kafai. And on today's episode, yes, USA, we talk more U.S. Women's National Team and the World Cup. Now before we get to that, follow us on Twitter at Uncle Sam's Soccer Pod. Hit that subscribe button wherever you get your podcast and leave us a 5-star review. Alrighty fellas. It's been a busy weekend for all of us. Gold Cup, Copa America, the Women's World Cup. God, a lot of soccer. But, listeners, let's go to France. Reading from the Washington Post, Sydney Boren. Carly Lloyd started the scoring in the U.S.-Chile World Cup game Sunday with an absolute missile of a goal, then celebrated with a gesture more suited for Pebble Beach than a soccer stadium in Paris. Mindful of the controversy that engulfed the U.S. team after it repeatedly and joyfully celebrated goal after goal after goal, in a 13-0 shellacking of Thailand last week, Lloyd and teammates exchanged hugs and congratulations. All right, guys. So this is what we're going to do with the U.S. Women's National Team. We're not going to talk about on-the-field stuff. We're going to continuously talk about this celebration nonsense. This is what it's come to. This is what's going to happen for the next several weeks.
Well, maybe if you sexist, misogynist men didn't tell them how they should be celebrating after they score the 12th and 13th goal of the match, Steven.
All right, Armand. Listeners, follow us, by the way, at Uncle Sam's Soccer Pod, at Armand Kafai, at Jake Watoba, at Steven Jodrin. Now, Armand, you weren't here last week when we actually discussed this 13-nail shellacking. But give us your 30-second comments on it.
I mean, it kind of depends on the circumstance. If it is your first World Cup goal, celebrate all you want. But, I mean, it's 13-0, and, you're obviously beating up on a Thailand team that's not good. Continue to score the goals. Continue to, play your game. But, I mean, the celebrations, look, really you're 9-0 and you're sliding like you scored the World Cup winner or something. Come on, man. That's just, that's not it. And the one thing that really bothered me, I would say, is a lot of people were saying, well, the initial reaction is, because women have faced sexism, we know that. The initial reaction to that is, if a guy would do it, would they be criticized? The same. That's kind of what the I guess litmus test is, because a lot of times guys do something and women will do something, and the woman will get chastised, but a guy won't. In this instance, that doesn't work, because 100%. Multiple people I've talked to, yes, if guys were doing this, they would get ripped for it. If the United States was beating Guyana 9-0, that's not foreshadowing or anything, but let's say they do, and if Pulisic celebrates like he just scored the game winner in the Champions League and it's 9-0, no, we'd be no, dude, you're come on, show you're a leader, well,
not even that. It's more it's hard because it's the World Cup. It's the grand stage. It's the grandest of them all, right? So it's hard to make comparisons here. And I tried looking back at some lopsided scorelines in meaningful games just to see how people celebrate after, obviously, the game's out of reach. England 6-1 over Panama in the 2018 World Cup. You watch the celebrations, it's a little bit different as they get higher in the scoreline. Germany 7-1 over Brazil, 2014 World Cup. Semifinal in Brazil, all to play for. Maybe the Germans are boring. There's a stereotype with that. They're a machine. It's all about performance. Get the job done, check mark, and move on, right? But their celebrations after 5-0, 4-0 were a little less than it was at 1 or 2-0. Mexico 7-0 in the Gold Cup over Cuba. Armand, you were paying attention to that game. What were the celebrations like that? Now, I get it, listeners. It's not the World Cup. But still, the celebrations of the U.S. Women's National Team was a bit odd to me. I didn't care that they scored 13 goals. In fact, they could have scored 16 goals. It wouldn't have mattered to me. It is the celebrations. And let's listen to what Hope Solo said on CBS this morning.
Well, I am no stranger to controversy, but let me tell you, I'm a proponent of respecting my opponents, and I always have been. Obviously, I've made some comments in the past out of poor sportsmanship, but ultimately, I truly believe that we have to show so much class, especially coming from the number one team in the world. We can have fun. We can score goals. We can show the world how fun the game of football is, how it's the world's game, and we can enjoy it and celebrate it. And I think in order to show respect to your opponents, you have to play with so much intensity and passion. So I don't think that the United States should have taken their foot off the pedal and stopped scoring goals. But I think it was unnecessary to have planned out goal celebrations. My favorite goal celebrations are the ones that come naturally because you really see the passion from the player. So if it's your first goal in a World Cup, I understand. But once you start to get to the 9th goal, to the 10th goal, you start to see the Thailand players start to look dejected, and it starts to hurt. I'm in the stadium. If Megan Rapinoe wants to celebrate the way she did against a team like Germany, a team like Norway, a team like Brazil, a team like England, by all means, I'll be right behind her, but I think it was unnecessary against a team like Thailand. What I thought was so classy was after the end of the game, Carly Lloyd went up to the goalkeeper, the Thailand goalkeeper, and she put her arm around her and she walked her off the field. And that is the class that I want to see from the United States.
Yeah, Hope Solo, a lightning rod of discussion, always a great soundbite. I do not understand. I mean, I guess I do understand why people put a microphone in her face, but man, she you can't take her serious. She talks about respecting her opponents, right? She talks about, let's not celebrate, let's respect the opponents. And then this is the same person after the Olympic loss in Rio 2016 to Sweden, in which she said, quoted here in the LA Times after that loss against Sweden, "We played a creative game. We had many opportunities on goal. We showed a lot of heart. We came from a goal down. I'm very proud of this team. We played a bunch of cowards. The best team did not win today. I strongly, firmly believe that."
What's worse, Armand? What's worse, the celebrations at 10-0 or an opponent after a game calling the winners cowards?
Yeah, it's definitely the cowards part. 'Cause, I mean, it shows that you're frustrated. You can't. You couldn't break them down.
No,
I disagree with that.
Really?
I disagree with that. Because at the end of the day, Sweden got the last laugh. You can sit there and say Sweden's cowards and they suck and they're not the best team. But at the end of the day, they're the ones who moved on. I think beating Thailand, like, let's face it, Thailand, get at the ring 34th in the world. We talked about this last week's episode.
They got a goal today.
They got a goal today, but
did
like,
you see the celebration? Did you see? Wait. I want to pause something. Thailand first, in an important goal in their footballing history. The coach is crying on the sideline. But did you see the reaction from the players, especially the goal scorer? It's like they scored a goal in the friendly, and they just walked back to get the game started again. It was a very interesting celebration from the players. The coach had all the emotion on it. It was a beautiful moment in the country's history, a beautiful moment for the World Cup. But I thought it was a bit odd to see the players celebrate.
So she didn't slide and do a
Usain Bolt,
like a Usain Bolt or something like that, or I mean, look, I understand what Jake's saying because he is right. Sweden did get the last laugh, but at the same time, I do feel like it doesn't look good when after a game that you lost, whatever happens, you lost, and you come out and say, you're playing cowards, you guys aren't good, like this or that. Like, it doesn't look good. I mean, celebration or what? You earned a celebration, but you didn't earn the right to call them cowards.
I don't think the U.S. earned the right to celebrate the way they did against Thailand, who, let's face it, that's not a good soccer team. Hope Solo saying they're cowards, that's one person, but the entire team basically showing up, the Thai national team, I think is much worse. It's like I try to explain it to somebody, and that you can take this however which way you want, if this is a bad comparison or not. This is like playing with your 12-year-old nephew one-on-one and just rubbing it in his face every time you dunk the ball, or every time you make a shot, or every time you block him, and you're a full-grown man and you're just destroying him in basketball, and it's like, yeah, I'm up by 40 points. You suck, kid. Like, that's what it felt like to me.
Well, look, listeners, you can agree with us, disagree with us, tweet at us at UncSamSoccerPod. I think U.S. women's national team did the greatest thing by doing this because it was on the radio, it was in the newspapers, it was on national television, cable news, it was talked about. So the controversies that they drew up, brilliant job. No, it's the same line. You know, there's no such thing as bad press. You get media coverage. We're talking about the U.S. women's national team on sports radio, on national television, cable news. It's actually a good thing if you ask me. And the golf clap today, kind of a good move from the U.S.
Yeah, brilliant. I thought it was hilarious.
It's hilarious. I mean, look, we're clapping it back at them. It's a good move. I still didn't like the celebrations after 8-0. But we can still move on. We can still all support the U.S. We can still want them to succeed. And if we really want to have this level playing field when it comes to talking about women's and men's sports, then we should have criticisms on both that are equal. So if this happens to the men, that they're up 10-0, if Germany's up 10-0 on Malta or something, and they're celebrating the way that the U.S. women, absolutely criticize them. The same way that we should criticize the women. If we're going to have equality in society, we should have open criticism, and criticism should not be just limited to one.
I mean, it's interesting though, right? Because who were the people really saying, "Hey, look, we don't like this look"? It wasn't people that are covering the U.S. soccer, the women's national team. Yeah, it was people watching TV or whatnot. I don't think that'd be the case for like other like teams. You know what I'm saying? Like if
what do you mean?
Let's say the men's national team, World Cup, they're playing. I mean, with a 48-team World Cup, this might happen.
Absolutely. With a 48-man,
they're playing.
Yeah.
I don't know who they're. I can't. I don't want to think around Faroe Islands. I don't know how they'll make it. They definitely won't. But they're playing them. They're beating up 10-0. I feel like guys covering the senior national team, like who are there, be like, hey, we don't like that. Hey, like cool out about that. We know it's a World Cup, but it's the Faroe Islands. Like it's not Brazil, Germany, etc. I didn't feel like, right, from my reading, that anyone on the team that was covering a team, who's covering a team right now in France, was saying, hey, look, we should, like, that's not good. I think they're all defending them, which I find really weird.
Well, I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but here's the thing, and this is the conclusion I made at the end of the last time we talked about this. It's 13 goals, great, but the U.S. women's national team does not win it all. It's not going to mean anything. Alex Morgan's performance of 5 goals, 3 assists will be meaningless in the long term. It'll be a great statistic. It will be forever attached to her name. But what will cement her legacy and what will cement this team's legacy is hoisting the World Cup trophy on that Sunday final. So 6 points from 2 games, a plus 16 goal differential, domination, and domination. So let's take it around. Opening thoughts really after 2 games with the U.S. women's national team. Jake.
It's clear to me, and this is just based off of watching the U.S. play against Thailand and Chile, and then looking at some of the other games going on in the Women's World Cup, that the U.S. women's national team are head and shoulders better than any team currently in the field. And I don't know if that just says that the women's national team is really good, or if there is a huge drop off after the first, like I think if they played Germany or England or the Netherlands, it would be closer than 13-0.
So you think the U.S. women's national team is so far ahead of everybody else?
No, what I'm saying is I don't think the drop off would be as stark with the Netherlands or Germany. Let's face it, the goalkeeper for Chile, Christiane Endler, basically stood on her head today. They
She was
should
the
have won
best player
6.
on the pitch. if you ask
They
me.
should have won 6 or 7-0 today. I do think if they played Germany or the Netherlands, it would be closer. But after like those first 4 or 5 teams in this field, like those top 4 or 5 teams, it just really drops off talent wise. So that's why it's hard for me to know like how good. Like this is probably the best U.S. women's team ever. But it almost makes me wonder: does this field need to be shrunk? Are there too many teams in the Women's World Cup? That's what I'm wondering. And now, whatever flack you want to give me on Twitter, I don't care for saying that. But it makes me wonder if there are simply too many teams in this field.
It's a criticism of the European Championships that expanded to 24 teams over 16.
It's gonna be a criticism of the 2026 World Cup. They keep it at 48.
And we're all against that on the show. We do not want to see the men's side expand to 48 teams either. So because now you're getting more of this on the men's side too.
But here's the problem. It also shows with the women's game the lack of development in, I would say, the developing nations. I mean, look at this list, guys, of teams that have moved on so far in the knockout stage. Still plenty to play for, but France, Germany, Italy, England, the U.S., Japan, Sweden, Canada, Netherlands. These are all Western nations. This is where development has happened a lot more rapidly for the women's game. So as much as the U.S. is elevating and we're talking about the media, FIFA needs to take this in control and really start developing the women's games in other nations, not these nations that you know have some sort of already of a foundation. It's not equal. We know that. And I'm not saying that it is, but what I am saying is that it really favors a particular type, the Western nations, that really screws over the African nations or the Asian nations where the development of the women's game is so far behind that you end up with a 13-0 result. I mean, you go back last World Cup, my Switzerland defeated, I don't remember, I should have looked this up, tweet at us, correct me, some African nation like 8 or 9-0. And it was just, it is an interesting point. Now, Armand, what is your takeaway from this complete and utter domination by the U.S.?
It's so hard to have a takeaway. It's really hard to have a takeaway because, I mean, honestly, I would love listeners, if you're listening right now and you have access to a computer, maybe tweet us. I would love to know how many passes in the final third were completed by both teams. These teams weren't even a challenge. Now, is that something against the U.S.? No. But it's so tough for me to take away something from these games when all the U.S. is doing. The U.S. should have won like 8-0. If Elder wasn't in net, it should have been 8-9-0. Their goal difference would have been plus 22 or something like that. Going into the final match against Sweden, it was, to me, it's insane. It's so hard to take away stuff from that match. I mean, they look ruthless. Maybe not head and shoulders better, Jake, but ruthless.
Oh yeah, it's so cutthroat.
They go for the kill. Go for the kill. It's not like, oh, we're content with 4-0. Like, no, we want to get you more and more and more and more. And you know, 3-0, like, if Elder wasn't in there, it literally would have been 9-0. They were ruthless. And I want to see that ruthless, that cutting edge, that desire against a team that's not Thailand or Chile. And no offense to them, but U.S. top 10, there's maybe 5-6 teams that are competing for his title right now in the Women's World Cup. I want to see them do that against Sweden, who they might not even be in that top 5 or 6 teams competing for that spot. They might thrash Sweden. They might go through and beat Sweden up.
Well,
it's interesting to me. I don't know, man. I don't know. Sorry to interrupt you, Steven, but I don't know, man. It's hard for me to take away anything, but I think the biggest takeaway you can say is they're ruthless and they're not going to stop at a 1 or 2-0. They want to go for another 10-0.
Alexi Lawless, I think, on the pregame, Jay, correct me if I'm wrong here, said something to the likes that the World Cup really begins against Sweden for the U.S. women's national team.
Yeah, no, that is what he said. And it's kind of to hear that from a media member, especially on the U.S. side, to acknowledge that these first 2 matches they don't really mean anything for the U.S. Like, I isn't that kind of amazing? Like, I don't feel like you would necessarily hear that in media usually, to say like, these are just kind of just matches they have to play. But once they get to Sweden, well, that's when it actually starts for them. You know, it just shows you how contrast between how good the U.S. are to Thailand and Chile really is.
Yeah, Yeah, and it's Carly Lloyd's a beast. I mean, these players for the national team are just beasts all around, cutthroat, and it'll be exciting to watch them play when there is a competition or when the game is kind of hanging in balance. Let's see this team react when they take a punch, because right now they're front runners, and they've been front runners from the get-go, and they've earned it. But let's see what happens when they face some competition. Now, guys, this actually leads us to the question day. It's very late in the show, but let's take our USA fanboy hats off, and let's ask this from a neutral standpoint. Do you find these games being over after about 30 minutes fun from a neutral sporting standpoint, specific with the U.S.?
No, it's not fun. The games are not enjoyable to watch. After a 30, they're not. I would say that for anything else. They're not fun. Like, after you see like a nice 7-0 win, oh cool, they won 7-0. I'm not watching that. I got better things to do. I'm not gonna watch it at a nice 8-9 after like 8. Oh, it's 9-0. Oh, it's 10-0. Oh, it's 11. It's 12. Today I caught the end of the second half. Like, even that wasn't fun for me to watch. I want to see a challenge. I want to see a competitive game. That's what people want to see. People want to see teams go at each other. They want to see the best at best. Play a nice competitive matchup. They don't want to see blowouts. Look, like, that's why so many people, like, you want to see a blowout? Like, dude, if it's like 4 or 5-0, it's over. Like, go home. Especially with the gap and talent and ability between like the top teams in the women's side and the lower teams. Like, if it's 2-0, it's basically over. Like, good night. Like, at least some other teams, if you're a lot more closer, a team could come back. But if it's 2-0 and it's like U.S. Thailand, it's over, bro. Well, turn that thing off. So you go do something productive with your day.
Yeah, well, turn it off. But apparently, Thailand versus USA, that match, it was the best metered market rating for any soccer telecast on English language television since the 2018 Men's FIFA World Cup final on Fox. So people are watching. People are tuned in. And I think the fact they score 13 only makes it a little bit more watchable, because I'm sure people are interested to see if they can continue this streak. But Jake, if we're going to make cross-sports references, college football, Alabama, is it really fun when they're beating up on a nobody 52-7? Or when Bayern Munich, Juventus, Barca, City, and PSG just repeated, and a lot of these clubs, Juventus, Barca, PSG, Bayern, are winning, 6-7 straight. And let's make it more personal connection. My New England Patriots. I honestly can say it gets a little bit boring when the Patriots are up 40-10 in midway through the third quarter. I'm not as tuned into it.
I live for the day that I don't have to hear a Patriots reference on this show. From
it's my mission to make it every day. Every day is a Patriots mission.
I mean, Steven, you're right. I mean, Alabama football is probably the best comparison we can make when talking about the women's national team. There's no reason that if you're bored on a Saturday afternoon and you turn on CBS and it's Bama versus Georgia Southern, that game's over at the end of the first quarter. It's like 28-0 Bama. There's no fun in watching that, even for me as a University of Minnesota Golden Gopher fan for college football with a non-conference schedule. I mean, the Gophers aren't a powerhouse, but when I'm watching the Gophers play Louisiana Lafayette and they're up 42-7 at halftime, it's like, what's the fun in this? No, I turn it off. This game today, they got up 2-0, and I just thought, okay, there's no point to watching this anymore. This isn't going to be competitive. It's one-way traffic.
Well, it's not even that the scoreline was 2-0. It was the fact that Chile never really made a threat. That's what I'm saying. That's also the problem.
It was one-way traffic for the U.S. The ball was constantly in the U.S.'s attacking third for most of that first half. I mean most of the game, actually. It's just not fun. Like I said, the best comparison I can make is a non-conference schedule for college football, or even college basketball too, because that's where you get these dominant performances with these top teams against these nobody schools, or these small schools in the NCAA. But I want to read two fun facts on the U.S. women and the this World Cup here before we wrap up today's show. Carly Lloyd has become the first player ever to score in 6 consecutive Women's World Cup matches. I think we've all acknowledged that Carly Lloyd is a machine, right? I think we all can say that.
I think she's honestly my favorite player on this women's national team.
I love her. She's awesome.
She's a
her
beast.
and Tobin Heath.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
2 of the best players in the world right now, in my opinion.
Right. And then this next fact, I want to get your guys' opinion on this because I think this is a interesting fact. 21 of the 71 goals, that's 29.6% if you're doing your math, have been scored on set pieces so far in this World Cup. What does that say about the competition so far in this 2019 Women's World Cup?
That's a good question. I have no idea.
I don't know.
That's a huge conversion rate. That's
massive. That's not a big conversion rate. I mean, in cases going forward, if you're coaching staff for a team trying to make a deep run in the World Cup, set pieces.
Yeah. As Alexi Law says.
Yeah. You have to be defensively. You have to be worried about it. You have to make sure you're marking the runner, and if you're on the offensive side, you have to make sure you convert. This is a golden opportunity based on the statistics. Let alone that. Anyway, guys, next match against Sweden. I'm excited for this match. I have to say the controversy has kind of glued my eyes to the television. As much as we say the game's over after 2-0, we are talking about it. We are texting about it. We are interested. So well done to the U.S. women's national team. They created controversy. Now they're eyeballs. Let's see what happens against Sweden, a team that Hope Solo criticized. There's history there. Armand, you get the final word.
It's where the World Cup really begins. I think a lot of people are anticipating this match to be high-flying and fun. I think the U.S. are going to smoke them. I really do. I think the U.S. dominates this result, and people are going to be looking into the knockout stage, being, oh man, this U.S. team is better than 2015, and they're ruthless, and they don't care, and they love the targets on their backs, and they want to embrace that.
Embrace the hate.
Villain
Embrace the villain
they have.
role.
Embrace the hate. Embrace it. I love it. I want to see more.
Yeah, I think the U.S. is actually going to steamroll Sweden. I think the result you should have saw today, you might see it against Sweden, actually. You might see a 5-0, 6-0 result. But listeners, make sure you follow us on Twitter at UncSamSoccerPod. You can follow Steven Jodaran at Steven Jodaran. You can follow Armand Kafai at Armand Kafai. And you can follow yours truly at Jake Watroba. Question of the day. Before we let you go here, tell us what you think. Listeners, make sure you let us know what you think on the question of the day. As a neutral, do you find this World Cup fun from a sporting standpoint? Be on the lookout later this week. We'll have an episode with Josh Babetsky of the Austin Anthem as we talk about Austin FC's record-breaking season ticket deposit. And also, we will talk a little U.S. men's national team as they open up the Gold Cup. For Steven and Armand, I'm Jake. We'll talk to you guys later.